Hi, everyone. I'm Ruchi Kumar, a director of product at Slack, which is a Salesforce company. And I'm so excited to be here with the product school community talking about a very important topic, which is how to lead a technical product as a non technical PM. What we'll be talking about today is one, I'll be sharing more about my background, especially the relevant experience that has informed my learnings for this topic about, being a non-technical PM, but still being able to succeed on a technical product. And really distill that into five don'ts and five do's. So with that, let's jump in. So just to start off, a little bit about me. I have over 10 years of product experience. I've worked on consumer products like Facebook, as well as enterprise products, including Slack, Salesforce, and Morningstar products. I'm originally from Michigan, so I'm a Midwest native, but I'm now a Bay Area transplant, living and loving life in California. I'm also a mom to a toddler who is almost 20 months old. That keeps me really busy. And so when I'm not being a mom or, being a PM, I love to spend my downtime watching NBA. I'm a big NBA fan, not only of my hometown team, which is the Pistons, but also my new Bay Area transplant team, which is the Golden State Warriors. Now, what's more important is what has been my previous experience that has influenced the topic today. So, in the past, on an ad product, I was a PM for very technical machine learning, delivering and ranking feature set. I really got off to a weak start there. I didn't establish strong relationships with engineering. I very much struggled to make an impact. And as a result, after being in that role, I ultimately chose on my own to leave the team and go back to another team because I felt like I would be a better suited PM for that role, which was again more non-technical, so to speak. And then now I'm a PM for platform workflow tools, and I've really taken the learnings from that role as a machine learning PM to set myself up for success early on. The team I work on is a platform team. They're very technical, but I've been able to establish strong credibility by getting to know the product really well, getting to know the team really well. And I found myself really learning and enjoying the work. So my goal for you today is that you leave learning ways to not have the experience of Rachel and Monica at the top as a PM, but more of the experience of Monica and Ross at the bottom, where you really enjoy your work and can learn a lot. Because I think working on a technical product, even if you're not a technical PM, really increases your skill set and makes you more versatile, as well as increases your learning curve steeply. So whenever you do get the experience or the chance to do so, you should take it on, but just make sure you follow some of the do's and don'ts that I picked up from my past experiences. Now, what are some don'ts? So these are top five don'ts. These are things that maybe if you're doing today, take a look, try to curb that behavior if it's not working for you. And even if you're not working on a technical product today or are already a technical PM, these can still be learnings that you can apply to your PM role. They're just especially important if you are a non technical PM working on a very technical product. So, my first don't is do not mask lack of knowledge in your decision making. Inevitably, as a PM, you will be asked for your opinion, sometimes in a very large, overwhelming setting. And it can be really easy to defer to others, especially, those technical leads or experts that know what they're talking about. And it's okay, you have a little bit of runway in the beginning, but if you don't ask questions, don't try to do your homework and do your due diligence. It'll be quickly picked up that you're just kind of a mouthpiece between engineering and whoever's asking the question. You really want to make an impact and make sure that you're doing the homework to, even if you can't answer the question in the moment, can come back with the answer and not always deferring to others. You've been hired as a PM for your experience and your own opinion and thoughts. So the sooner you can start forming those opinions by doing the work yourself, by digging in and asking questions, the better you will be to set yourself up and enjoy the role on a technical product. Second is really delaying getting your hands dirty with product. So this is really easy to fall into. Especially when it's a technical product, it's going to be natural to want to procrastinate on using the product. You'll more likely want to live in docs and slides, read up on training materials, up on, previous product briefs, and really defer on using the product, especially when that product can be, difficult to set up, maybe doesn't have all the documentation, is really garnered towards very technical users who are not like yourself. But if you continue to do so, it'll impact right away and will be very crystal clear to engineers when you go to them with a question without investigating it first. It'll also just impact your day to day ability to make decisions, to talk to customers, because you will not understand the product and be able to get your hands dirty. If you're not willing to jump into the product and play around with it every day, then this might not be the right product for you. But it's something that really sets the really great PMs from just the basic of PMs apart is if you can take that time to understand, get your hands dirty. And even if you get stuck and stumble on the way, that will help you empathize with your customers and understand and form an opinion on where you should invest in the product, potentially to increase the usability of it. Third is remaining hidden. So again, you'll obviously have some runway here. I am not an extrovert, I'm an introvert. So it's very tempting, especially when you don't know all the players in a meeting or all the content through and through, to stay silent in meetings or any offline discourse, for example, on Slack. But the sooner you can kind of jump in and ask questions, the sooner you'll make your presence known, as well as improve your ability to ramp up on the material. So this goes hand in hand with diving into the product. This also can result if you're kind of hidden and not really talking to Eng and speaking up, not forming strong relationships with them, which will eventually hinder you as a PM. Engineers, want to talk to you, want to get to know you, want to understand what's important, what's a priority for you, what are you hearing from customers, and they want to see you really advocate for them in meetings. So even if you don't know all the information, but if you're sitting silent in leadership updates and not even, advocating or evangelizing or pointing out what your team's working on, it will one have engineers wonder, what value are you adding? Especially when it's a technical product and oftentimes they can make the decisions themselves, as well as, potentially not show yourself in the best light to your leadership that's looking to you to understand what's going on in that product area. The second to last don't I have is only focusing on project management. So it's kind of the opposite of not speaking up and advocating for the Eng team. If you're just giving status updates and, playing the role, which is part of the PM's role of scheduling meetings, taking notes, sending follow-ups, it will eventually hinder you. Yes, you will be staying busy, but you will not be focusing on the most impactful areas, which is really where is the team heading? How do you set them up for success? How do you, make sure that you were going after more customers or we're increasing the growth of the product? And so, yes, it's something that I think on day one, when you feel like you can't do anything and you don't understand the product, that you can start working on. But if you just focus on the project management part of your job, it'll limit your career growth. And especially when there's technical products, when the PM might be new, like these engineers might never have worked with a PM before in their entire career, it will get them to see you as just that go-between or coordinator, as opposed to that person that's influential in making decisions and that has valuable input or ways of unblocking them that can, get them to the next level in their career. And then lastly, and this one I specifically learned from my role the first time I was a PM unsuccessfully on a technical product, but this I think is the most important lesson that you can also apply as a non-technical PM on a non-technical product, but that's letting others influence your relationships. So it's great to know going into the team or people that you're meeting with, what other people's opinions are of them. But if you go in, oftentimes you might be going in because your management feels like these engineers are not performing at the level they should be, and just go in with that preconceived notion and just start being the mouthpiece and being that pass through of what leadership wants. One, it's a terrible way to operate and form relationships because you'll have preconceived notions of the team. But two, you won't be doing your job of advocating for the team. So you should understand, for example, if there's delays, why are they delays? Are there competency issues or are there things out of their control that impacted them? And that can be a way for you to push for more resources or more support. Likewise, if you're just a pass through where every request that comes from support or sales or other teams for your team to work on, you just pass it on over to engineering and create more work from it. And don't push back on these requests or have some type of prioritization there. Again, engineers will wonder what value are you adding, and you are not doing your job of having your own opinions, but are letting others influence your relationships. And as a result, may not be having your team work on the most important and kind of game changing features. So those are my top 5 don'ts. If you have others, I would love to hear from you. But let's move on to my top 5 do's. These are areas that if you're already working on, that's great, like double down. And if you haven't considered it, I know change is hard, but there's might be areas you want to just devote a little more time to make a better impression and to go further in your PM career on a technical product. So the first is being vulnerable. This can be on a technical product or not a technical product, but you're only as impactful and influential as a PM as your relationships. And I find that being vulnerable and open gives you that runway to establish those relationships, enjoy your job better, form those strong bonds, and give you the room if you're still like ramping up and need to ask for help. It's better to not make a decision that's uninformed rather than to say, "Hey, like, this is a little technical for me. I want to do a little bit of background homework, or can I set up time with you and then come back to you with an question or an answer?" That's being more authentic and open. And oftentimes, you know, even more technical folks can empathize with that and will understand that, hey, I have went through the same thing as a new hire and trying to ramp up on a very large and nuanced scope area. And then I personally tend to use humor in my style, but if that's not your go to, any other ways that you can show your genuine self will be a strength in the long term and will allow you to form relationships beyond your current role with that engineer or designer or wherever they will go in their career journey. Second is to kind of counter the point I said about not getting your hands dirty, just really going deep into the product. So the way that I like to do so, we all know it's important, but how to like turn it into a muscle and make it a forcing function is to block time on my calendar to get my hands dirty. It'll be very tempting to get busy reading up on all the documents, setting up one-on-ones, but I want to block time in the actual work hour a day to get to know the product, get set up. If I have questions, other people are working at that time, and really try out the various use cases end to end. This will make me a better PM right away to answer customer questions so I don't have to go to engineering. It'll make me a better PM to make decisions on the product. And one way that when you do get stuck, which is very normal, to feel comfortable is have someone in your corner that you can consult with on basic questions. Let them know beforehand, I'm so sorry if I'm going to come to you, or please don't judge me. I'm just trying to ramp up and I might be asking some basic questions. And I'm sure they'll be willing to help. Oftentimes you'll be assigned a buddy, but even if the buddy isn't a good fit or you feel like your buddy's really busy, try to find someone else. It doesn't always have to be an engineer. It doesn't have to be someone in your like a management team or previous PM. It could be someone on the support team or someone on the design team that can really ramp you and make sure that you have someone to go to with most basic questions so that you can ensure that you know the product in and out. Third is establishing credibility. So, if you're not already doing this, you should be setting up one on ones and really focusing on having a strong relationship and managing the expectations with your engineering manager. If you don't have an engineering manager for the team, it could be a tech lead. But again, having those open and vulnerable conversations will go a long way in not only your role as the PM for this product, but in your future career. You'll sometimes find, that the engineers that are maybe more junior or have always been in, back end infra roles don't know what a role of a PM is. That's why if you're just doing project management work, that's what they'll see you as. If you can explain how you will add value, how you can help them, that can help ensure that you're pulled into the right conversations and can start making an impact sooner. So really have a point of view on what Eng is building and how you can help. That's really important to even come out from every one-on-one you have with an engineer and your team so that you can get a better view of the landscape as well as know where you should be focusing your time. And small wins that you can focus on beyond just, the project management skill set is, intros to people on similar projects. You might come with a set of experience from a different team that could be helpful to someone or unblock them, or even just XFN enablement, getting something past legal, getting something to go to market correctly. Those are small wins that you can do early on without having all the knowledge you need that can go a long way in establishing credibility and you yourself feeling like you're making an impact in the role. Fourth, I have showcasing early wins. So, again, your job is to evangelize and advocate for the team. So, do not let a moment pass up when you're with leadership, when you're giving status updates, to really call out the team's progress and success. Really champion them. One, it'll go a long way in establishing goodwill with your engineering counterparts. But two, it can lead to more opportunities for the team. And especially when it's a technical product, others may not have visibility into it because of it being so technical. So it's your job to really showcase the value of the team and what they're unlocking so that your team and you are set up for success. And showcasing early wins can also go the other ways, not just to leadership, but also to engineering. Sometimes engineering is in their own day-to-day work and they can't be pulled into all customer success stories, all demos out there. So you might come across from marketing or other customers and counterparts some great wins or demos or success stories with sales that you should share back and feel comfortable, whether it's in a meeting or offline in Slack in the discourse to share out those wins, what's going on across the organization. It'll go a long way in establishing again that credibility and making sure that you're helping your engineering team understand the value of what they're working on and really seeing the impact from what they build and ship. And then lastly, I would encourage you as you're having these one-on-ones conversations and throughout your PM role on this technical product is really think beyond what your team works on today. So a really strong PM will go beyond just unblocking the team, managing the day-to-day to really evangelize the team and get more resources and connect the dots on what they're working on with priorities across the organization. So if you can see how the very technical tool your team works on can be used by another product or another team for another use case. Those are easy ways to gain more scope for your team, as well as take something that others maybe can't do and really bring it and shine light on it to your engineering team. Also, understanding market dynamics and customer landscape will go really far. I will say that you should focus on understanding the product first, but then understanding, what's going on amongst competitors, what your customers are looking for, will help you prioritize the work as well as, bring that information that can be siloed to your team and to your leadership to think about the future and the vision for the product. Especially in technical teams, what I've noticed a lot is what you hear from them, especially from the engineering, is that they feel like they lack a vision or an identity. They're kind of just working on something that plugs into this feature set and they're taking requests internally from those other externally facing product teams. But if you can really, connect those dots, show that they own a vision end to end, have a strong identity and area of ownership, that will go a long ways in helping your team feel satisfied in their job and helping your leadership understand all the value your team brings. And so ultimately, this should help you define a bigger scope and vision for the product and the team. That should continue to be top of mind from day one to day 100 in your role. How can you better support your team? How can you make sure that they have a long term roadmap? And how can you make sure that the product continues to grow to solve your customers' use cases and the changing dynamics of the market? So, I will leave you with those top 5 do's and don'ts. I would love to hear from you other learnings that you picked up, whether as a technical PM or a non-technical PM, and I'm happy to keep the discussion going, answer any questions all over LinkedIn. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Would love to connect with you all. And thank you from both myself as well as from Product School for joining this session. Take care. Bye.